Yo, what's going on, guys? SCJ here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about how the internet has slowly killed the importance of sports networks, and the network that we're going to be talking about the most and covering today is ESPN. I remember growing up, and if I wanted to hear the latest sports news, rumors, or trades, I had to turn on ESPN. I also remember if I wanted to catch up on games that I missed from the night before, or just see the best sports highlights from the last 24 hours, I also had to turn on ESPN in order to see that. However, all of that has changed now since the internet has grown in size, and the number of websites and places to hear sports news or watch sports highlights has grown as well. I have yet to even mention that social media has also been one of the biggest punches in the face, or the biggest punches thrown at ESPN, probably ever. With so many different social media platforms, websites, or applications for your smart device, whether that be a phone, tablet, or just a handheld device like the iPod Touch, there's so many different ways to get sports news, watch sports highlights, or watch full-on sporting events themselves, whether that be illegally or legally. It's felt like all of these things have combined for one real Mike Tyson-like knockout punch in the face of ESPN. As a guy in his 20s, I'm not necessarily included in this new or younger generation or a part of the older generation yet, so I've got my sports news and or enjoyed sporting events or highlights the quote-unquote old-fashioned way and also the new way. I guess in this regard, I could be called a tweener. I remember turning on ESPN and wanting to cry when I found out the Giants traded one of my favorite football players, Jeremy Shockey, to the Saints. I remember rewinding the highlight of Vince Carter's dunk in the 2006 playoff on Alonzo Mourning 100 times, and I remember getting excited for the Nets to be on national TV on ESPN because it felt like the most cursed NBA franchise of all time was finally getting some mainstream attention. However, the internet and social media has totally changed my need in order to sit in front of the TV and watch ESPN. Every year, I either buy NBA League Pass myself or split an NBA League Pass account with people so it's cheaper, mostly the latter option. I have Fox Sports Go so I can watch two of my favorite teams, the Nets and Yankees, right on my phone. I follow sports accounts and or sports highlight accounts on Twitter and Instagram so I can see stuff I might have missed, and I get all of my sports news almost immediately by keeping the notifications on Twitter on for Woj, Shams, Rappaport, Rosenthal, and Jones. With all of this, why do I need to keep up with SportsCenter, and why do I need to turn on ESPN? In terms of the magic that once was with ESPN, it feels like it's slowly dying out or has already died out. One of my favorite nights of the week was Monday from Monday Night Football and Monday Night Raw. Has been ruined since they got rid of one of my favorite commentators, Mike Tirico, and Chris Berman, aka Boomer, has faded out into an unknown abyss, and also the wackiness or wild takes on shows like First Take have essentially died out since Skip Bayless has left, and ESPN has stopped trying to make Max Kellerman Skip Bayless 2.0. I still watch First Take, Get Up, or The Jump from time to time to hear the takes of Stephen A., sometimes Rex Ryan, and whatever players they have on with Rachel Nichols on The Jump, but it doesn't feel like a necessity to hear these guys' opinions anymore when I know I'll see the clips on social media or YouTube, especially if anything Stephen A. says gets turned into a meme. ESPN has tried to stay with the times and has done some things right, like ESPN Plus, but the ESPN Xbox One and PS4 apps are god-awful, and the fact that I need to pay for ESPN Plus just in order to pay once again to watch a UFC pay-per-view can be annoying as all hell. And no, you're not giving me a discount on the UFC pay-per-view for being an ESPN Plus subscriber, when I'm giving you however much money that goes to you from me anyway, since I've decided to be smart with my money and get the Hulu, Disney, and ESPN $13 streaming bundle. Anyway though, getting away from that, watching what will either be the slow decline or slow death of ESPN is actually sad and something that sucks. There's many things in terms of the world of entertainment that suck to watch die or phase its way out. Physical video games and movies, the death of places like Blockbuster and GameStop, going to a store to buy physical CDs and or vinyls, or getting your Netflix movies mailed right to your house instead of streaming them. The internet has totally killed, looks like it will kill, or has just decreased the importance of all the things I just named. While it may never kill ESPN as a network, especially with the funding of the Disney Corporation behind them, there's less and less reasons to flip on your TV and turn on ESPN as a sports fan these days, and as the days, months, or years go on, in a way, it really sucks to see. ESPN can still be valuable, however, and I know this from my personal experiences, even in the last year. At the end of last August, I was in a terrible car accident and broke both my femurs and suffered a TBI, or a traumatic brain injury. I'm somehow all good now and blessed, and don't have any setbacks in terms of my cognitive or physical abilities, so I am blessed for that, like I said, but in a way, I'm also blessed for ESPN during that time. The cops had my phone to investigate if I was texting and driving, and I wasn't. I'm almost positive that my brakes in my truck gave out, which were actually recalled brakes. But once my brain started to recover, I remember turning on ESPN in the hospital room to see Antonio Brown, who I still thought was a Raider, was released by the Patriots. I remember watching the NBA China drama unfold and watching my favorite team, the Nets, essentially stuck in the middle of it as they were the team playing the Lakers in China. Without ESPN, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with all of this, and I know there's many people, especially in their older years like 50 or 60 and above, who don't have social media and still get all their sports news and highlights off of ESPN. So ESPN is still important and may be around forever, but as time goes on, it feels like the importance of ESPN is slowly decreasing and that the network that was once a powerhouse is slowly dying. While ESPN doesn't feel as evil as companies or places like GameStop or Blockbuster could occasionally be, the decline in importance of ESPN does suck, and you can tell that the network is doing all that they can in order to keep or return to its peak as a sports powerhouse. They make sure they keep the rights to the two biggest sports drafts, the NFL draft and the NBA draft. They've constantly tried to find the perfect mix or duo for Monday Night Football, even though the perfect mix of guys, Pat McAfee and or Randy Moss, and a true color commentator are all hired by them, and of course the previously mentioned ESPN Plus. Hell, I should probably also mention that they literally threw stacks of over $1 million at Woj or Adrian Wojnarowski to join the ESPN brand or family, but even that hasn't seemed to change much or help them, as he still tweets out breaking news as it immediately happens and doesn't report on the news on one of the many ESPN networks as it immediately happens. As the times change, or as time goes on, if you fail to evolve or change yourself due to a lack of creativity, lack of effort, or your inability to do so due to a company's business model, you're going to die and or become an afterthought. Blockbuster's lack of creativity or effort killed them, as they had a chance to buy the company that killed them, Netflix, for $50 million. GameStop's business model of giving you what was way too small of an amount for your games when you traded them in, and then going back and reselling them at almost 2 times or more the amount that they gave you, is dying due to digital software. iTunes and then eventually streaming has killed physical music purchases, aside from people like me buying them who like to own the physical copies of CDs and vinyls from my favorite artists and guys that I want to support, such as Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, and the Rolling Stones, and even cassettes. Yes, I own the Slim Shady LP and Daytona by Pusha T on cassette. And it seems like ESPN's inability to remain the way they were, or as big as they once were, because of their inability to change their business model, and the internet and social media helping news and highlights spread like a wildfire, has led or is leading to the network's decline, or maybe what will be ESPN's ultimate demise. I want to know what you guys think though. What do you guys think about the possible death of ESPN, or just simply the network's slow decline? I wanted to make this a bit more of an in-depth breakdown, but it feels like the decline or death of ESPN was a pretty simple one, or is a pretty simple one, and one that I was able to cover fully and pretty much well in what I've talked about in this video. Anyways though, that's going to be it for me today though. While I typically do videos I consider sports video articles instead of the typical video essays or sports video essays, I felt this one was a bit of a different one because I didn't solely talk about the NBA, and it's something I really enjoyed making. So if you guys like this, let me know, and as I always say, if you like the video, then give it a like. If you want to see more sports quote-unquote video articles or video essays like this one, or NBA content, hit that subscribe button. And I'm SCJ, and I am out. Peace.